Today, I want to talk to you about some vocabulary that, well, you really don't need to be using anymore, and what you should say instead. That's coming up. Hey everyone, my name is Wes. This is Interactive English, and the channel is just all about trying to help you practice and improve your English skills and really help you achieve your fluency goals. And today, I have a little bit of a strange lesson, and the reason why I say it's a little strange is because I'm going to talk to you about some words and phrases that you can just take out of your vocabulary. You don't really need to use these words and phrases anymore, but I want to tell you the vocabulary that you should use instead. I'll go ahead and say that the reason why I'm telling you you don't really need to use these words and phrases is because they're a bit outdated and people really don't use this vocabulary today, such as the first phrase that I have for you, which is World Wide Web. When computers first came out and people started using the internet, I think this phrase was a little more common. It was reference technology. It was a place that people could go to find a lot of different information. Even when you would put it in a website, those three W's, that stands for World Wide Web. But even then, I think many people would just shorten it and they would talk about the web. And you may even hear that today. Somebody mentioned the web, and that's what they're referring to, the World Wide Web. But I don't think it's as common nowadays. I think mostly people are just going to talk about the internet, that they're going to go online, they're going to search for some information using the internet, or perhaps they're going to, well, just talk about it as an activity and that they're just surfing the internet. So you could use internet instead of talking about the World Wide Web. Next is it's just one word, and that is groovy. And this word, I would say, is dated. And I say that because when I think of the word groovy, I think of the 70s and disco dancing, and people would use groovy to say that something is cool, that it's good, that it's great, that they really enjoy this thing. And I think if you're watching a movie that perhaps takes place in the 70s, you may hear somebody use this word.
Eric, how do you like Bob's new hair? Isn't it groovy?
You're one groovy baby.
Are you guys all right?
Groovy.
People are not really going to use this nowadays. I think if you want to use a word that's casual, that's very informal, I think people might just say that they think something is cool. Or there are so many other synonyms out there that you can use. You can say something is great, that it's amazing, it's incredible, it's impressive. And I would use any of those other words instead of saying groovy. Just get rid of groovy. So I want to take a quick moment and tell you about the sponsor of today's lesson, which is Lingoda, because if you want to speak naturally and fluently in the way that people actually speak today, then I have a great suggestion for you. You can study with Lingoda and participate in the Lingoda language sprint. This is a great opportunity for you to improve your English and really do so at an affordable price. And remember, if you successfully complete the language sprint, then you can get 100% cash back or 50% cash back. To be honest, I have even studied at Lingoda. There I am right there taking some lessons in Spanish, and I can tell you from my own experience that it's a great place to learn a language. I was able to gain more speaking confidence, improve my pronunciation, as well as build my vocabulary. And there's really three main reasons why I really like Lingoda. The first one is that classes are available 24/7, so that's great if you happen to have a busy schedule. Second, these are also small group classes, which means you'll have plenty of opportunities to speak. And third, as I've said, these classes are very affordable. So let me tell you a little bit more about the language sprint, because you have two different options. You can take the super sprint, in which you'll take 30 classes a month for 3 months, or you can do the sprint, in which you'll take 15 classes a month for 3 months. So each month you'll pay for the classes, and then if you complete the required number of classes, you can get 100% cash back for successfully completing the super sprint, or 50% cash back for successfully completing the sprint. The language sprint will begin on January 15th, so you must sign up before December 28th to secure your spot. When you sign up, you will pay a €49 deposit, but you can use the voucher code WIN8 to get a €10 discount on your deposit. So click on the link in the description if you'd like to learn more about the language sprint. Don't forget to use that voucher code WIN8 and just take some online classes so that you can achieve your fluency goals. So let's get back to our lesson, our vocabulary lesson of the words and phrases that you just should not be using. And the next phrase that I have for you is carbon copy. So let me explain what this is, because maybe this is something you've heard of, maybe you haven't. A carbon copy is like a copy of a receipt, an invoice, and you would find this perhaps at a business. They would write down the receipt or the invoice, and below that is another piece of paper that's really making a copy of everything they're writing. So afterwards, the business would keep one, and they might give you a carbon copy. It's just a copy of everything that they've written. You may still find some businesses using this today, but I think the most common way that this is used is with emails. Because when you email someone, you can include other people on that. You can copy people on that email, except you are not going to use the phrase carbon copy. Instead, if you're writing an email, you'll see those two letters, CC. Those two letters actually stand for carbon copy. But you're not going to say that if you want somebody to copy you on an email. You're not going to tell them, hey, can you send me a carbon copy? No, you're just going to tell them, hey, can you please CC me on that email? And in that way, you're asking them to copy you on the email, and they would be giving you a carbon copy. But you're not going to say that. You're going to use CC. Then we have one word, which is just baloney. And I'm not talking about the sandwich meat. This word, it used to be used informally to talk about something that is just fake. It's not real. It's not true. It's baloney. There was even a phrase, and people could say that something's just phony baloney. It's not true. But you're not really going to hear this nowadays. I think instead, people, they may use the phrase fake news. I think that's really been catching on a lot lately, even though personally, I don't really like this phrase, because I think people tend to use it to talk about things that they just disagree with, instead of things that are actually not true. And they just like to throw that out there and say that something is fake news. But it is a phrase that I think is becoming more popular. I think even better than that, though, if you want to say something is, well, it's not true, you don't believe it, just use the word bullshit. Or even shorten that and just say BS. Like, oh, I don't believe that. That's just not true. It's a bunch of BS. Then we have the phrase Kodak moment. And what this means is it's talking about a special moment in time. And the reason why this phrase came about is because of the company, Kodak. Kodak was a very well-known company that would make cameras, and of course people were taking pictures of special moments in time, and that's really how the phrase began. And you would hear somebody say, oh, this is a Kodak moment. And you may even hear this phrase if you're watching a TV show or movie.
Look, Mom, I really don't feel like having a Kodak moment here, okay?
It has not completely gone away, but again, because nowadays most of us take pictures using our phones, Kodak cameras are not as popular. I think the phrase is also losing popularity as well. But there's really not another phrase that you would use that, especially informally, that means the same thing. You would really just say that something is a special moment, or perhaps refer to a past event as a good memory. And you would use that instead of saying the phrase Kodak moment. Then I have a phrase which it really takes me back to my childhood, and that is roll up the window. Because a long time ago, cars, in order to roll up the window, they'd have this crank handle that you would have to roll. And that's what somebody would say. They would tell somebody, please roll up the window. And you'd have to crank that handle and you would roll the window up. Nowadays, it's really automatic, so you're not going to tell somebody to roll up the window. You're going to use the verb put, and you would ask somebody, can you please put the window up, or please put up the window. It is a phrasal verb that is separable to put the window up or put up the window. Either one, you don't really need to use roll unless you happen to be in a very old car that has that crank handle, which I think is unlikely. So just tell somebody to put up the window. And then we have this symbol right here, which you may be thinking, oh, I know what this is. But a long time ago, it was called a pound sign. This is a symbol that you would find on your phone, and people would say pound sign. Nowadays, I think Twitter has really just taken this over, and people know this as a hashtag. I think social media is just so popular in most conversations, most situations. If you're talking about this symbol right here, you're going to use the word hashtag. I can't really think of a situation in which you're going to talk about this as the pound sign. I think you'll probably just say hashtag. And then I have a phrase for you, which is saying that something is like nails on a chalkboard. And what this phrase means is you're saying that some sound is just terrible, and maybe it makes you feel a little uncomfortable, the same way that, well, if you scratch your nails on a chalkboard, I hate that sound. It would give me goosebumps, and I'd tell someone, oh, please stop, stop. So people might use this phrase to perhaps tease somebody about their voice or their singing, and instead of saying that it's really bad, they may say that it's like nails on a chalkboard. Now, this is a phrase that you may still hear from time to time.
Every time she says, that's so funny. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
No, donkey.
God, even her voice annoys me.
Nails on a chalkboard.
The reason why I'm giving this to you is because in the future, I think it could go away. And the reason why I say that is because I think we're not using chalkboards as much at school. They're really being replaced by whiteboards, and in some cases, they're being replaced by smartboards. And I've never scratched my nails on a smartboard, but I'm guessing that it just does not sound the same. It does not create the same effect. So as chalkboards, perhaps they start to go away, this phrase might go away as well. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. But if you hear somebody say that some sound is like nails on a chalkboard, it's really a terrible and uncomfortable sound. So I hope that you learned something new today, whether it was the old vocabulary that I told you to get rid of or the new vocabulary that I said you should use instead. And this is very useful because I think that if you're having a conversation today, you want to use words and phrases that are relevant, that are popular, that are new nowadays, because that's what people are going to understand. So this is a great way to help you improve your fluency. If you enjoyed this lesson, please hit that like button. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.